Hey, welcome back to Well, That's Interesting, the okay, that sounds crazy, start from the beginning edition. Today is episode 230. Never before seen fungus infects spiders, turning them into zombies, and let's talk about sea vomit, an invasive species, off the Canadian coast. My friends, we are absolutely drowning in milestones over here at WTI. Just 3 months ago, at the end of January, we hit the scrumdiddlyumptious episode number of 222, and to celebrate, we learned how a dozen larvae can fit in one man's eye, and how at least one autoimmune disease can attack your eyeball's cornea, making it slip away, as if it's air quotes, melting off. Now, if that sounds god-awful to you, you're right. Please have a listen if you haven't, and be sure to check out the corresponding photos over at the social media stuffs. It's unpleasant. And also, in that episode, I had the honor of announcing that the flock grew to just over 2,300 subscribers on Spotify. That is fucking huge. And guess what? As of today, right in time for episode 230, the flock has grown by over 100 more. Yeah, we surpassed 2,400 subscribers at the time of this recording. So, congratulations to all. And thank you. Thank you for rating. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for commenting on our social media stuffs about how traumatized you are after every show. And for telling your friends about your trauma, because that's how we bond nowadays. All these things add up. And here we are. And to celebrate this time around, we're going to throw a party, and you won't believe who's invited. In the first half of the show, we're going to head to the east coast of Northern Ireland, and we're going to waddle our little wellies or rubber boots through a truly stunning wetland reserve called Castle Espey. We'll be joining a crew of one of the BBC's nature documentary TV series whose goal it was to simply take a gander at some geese and ogle some ducks. And of course, that didn't happen. You will be oh so surprised to hear what this team actually stumbled upon, and I can't give it all away in the intro. So as a teaser, I'm going to read the subheader of a LiveScience.com article written by Patrick Pester, because it's so bizarre. It sounds like a Mad Libs. And for our younger members of the flock, that's a word game where the players are asked to fill in blanks with nouns, adjectives, and the like, but with no context. The result is just fun chaos. And you know what? I think we can actually give it a go right now. Yeah, grab something to write with, and let's fill in the blanks. Okay, are you ready? Awesome, here we go. Give me a noun. Okay, now a verb. Now another noun. And a place. Okay, one last time. A verb. Fantastic. Now, if you wrote fungus, infects, zombies, a Victorian gunpowder store, and filming, well, hot damn, you nailed it. Here is the actual subheader. Quote, a new fungus that infects cave spiders and turns them into zombies was discovered in a Victorian gunpowder store at Castle Espey in Northern Ireland during filming for a TV show. End quote. What? We're going to meet those spiders. We're going to meet this fungus. We're going to see what happens when they meet. And then we're going to find out how in the holy hell this BBC team found them together. Then after the break, sea vomit. If that sounds unpleasant, you are once again correct. My friends, we will be heading to the Bay of Fundy, located between Canada's Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, where we'll be joined by scallop fishermen, researchers from the Huntsman Marine Science Center, and of course, yes, an uncomfortably looking, creamy species called sea vomit. Now, this uncomfortably named creature also goes by the equally unfortunate name of carpet sea squirt. Yeah, and it's actually native to Japan. And this invasive vomit carpet is actually sack-like gelatinous filter-feeding animals that form large colony-like mats across the seabed, and it's creating devastating effects on native species due to its rapid growth. And when I say invasive, rapid, and devastating, y'all, I mean it. One handful, one clump, can clone itself 11-fold in just 2 weeks. And what this means for scallops, for example, is really bad news. Quote, with the invasive sea squirt covering the bottom, juvenile sea scallops can no longer attach to the sea floor. And those that find a clear patch are often quickly covered by the invader, which smother the scallops and weigh them down, preventing their escape from predators and inhibit their feeding. End quote. From the Center for Marine Biodiversity and Conservation website. The site goes on to say that George's Bank, a body of water off Massachusetts in the south of the Bay of Fundy, has been exposed to this blob for the past 5 years and has been already covered a staggering 140 square miles in 5 years. Just with the tariffs, the Canadians to the north are going to politely fight this thing. We will meet the graduate student and part-time scallop and lobster fisher who came up with a plan to help, thwart the vomit. We're going to go over the plan. We will learn more about this vomit. I keep saying the word vomit. I'm so sorry. And I'm really sorry because we're going to have to also look at pictures of it. Because I have those. I'm sorry. In the meantime, hi, I'm Jill Chacha. And if this is your first time listening, welcome to the flock, my non-invasive business goose. To begin, I'm going to need you to strap on your finest binoculars and to prepare yourself to see a large variety of tits. There's the great tit, the coal tit, the long-tailed tit, and the blue tit just for starters. And if we're lucky, we'll also see a couple of shanks, including the red shank and the green shank. What I mean to say is that I've got us tickets to the Castle Espy Wetlands Center, but the first thing we're going to do before seeing all these tits is to head to their duckery. Yes, there's a duckery where, brace yourself, quote, in winter, some of the youngest, oldest, and more sensitive birds stay for some extra TLC in the colder months. In summer, when we hand-rear our ducklings, they spend their first few weeks in our indoor duckery. Then, once the ducklings are old enough, we introduce them to the outdoor duckery, where visitors can watch the adorable sight of them adapting to the outside world. End quote. From the Wetland Center's website, wwt.org.uk, and oh my god, there's a duckery. Now, for my fellow geographically challenged Americans who are already feeling cute aggression like me and want to know where exactly this magical place is, don't worry, I've got you. Everyone, please imagine the Republic of Ireland. Thank you. Point to the very center, and then move your finger all the way north until you see the coastline. Now draw a big-ass circle, and there is Northern Ireland, a completely separate country belonging to the UK for more reasons than there are tits here. Anyway, now, if you will, please look to the middle of its east coast. There's actually a body of water here called the Strangford Lough, which is pretty sizable. It's about 60 square miles. Along its northern shores is where we are, the Castle Espy Wetlands Center, a wetland reserve managed by the Wildfowl and Wetlands Trust, which is hard to say, and it's not fucking around. It has the largest collection of ducks, geese, and swans in Ireland, and the area's history is just as expansive, with evidence of human settlement going back to the Neolithic period, aka 10,000 BCE, and it was occupied up until the 18th century. That's a lot of time. In fact, I cannot grasp that amount of time and all that has taken place within it, and all the creatures that have lived here. It's really hard to comprehend. And it's that magnitude that the Center and the Wildfowl and Wetlands Trust wants to preserve. In fact, as you travel around the shores of Strangford, you can't go 5 fucking minutes without seeing ruins, abbeys, and even more castles that are protected by nonprofits and nerds alike. If you drop whatever bullshit you're holding that isn't a phone and head on over to our social media stuffs and tap on today's post, you're going to see a few photos of the Castle Espy Wetlands Center and nearby ancient structures. The contrast of nature against these abandoned stone buildings is cinematic as fuck. So it's no surprise that Castle Espy was used as a filming location for the BBC wildlife series Springwatch, followed by Autumn Watch, an epic project with like 100 plus persons in their crew whose objective was to, quote, chart the fortunes of British wildlife during the changing of the seasons in the United Kingdom, end quote, from the wiki. Chart the fortunes. Absolutely amazing. Now, it should also be no surprise then that the series rounded out with Winter Watch. But holy shit, some members of that crew sure as hell weren't expecting to capture anything like the following in these wetlands. So let's get into it. So join me, will you, in the god-awful year of 2021, and within one of these ruins by Castle Espy, specifically part of a crumbling Victorian that once housed gunpowder, because yes, at some point, someone had enough wealth and gunpowder to dedicate an entire room to it. Now, the TV crew would also use these kinds of ruins to set up static cameras, because one, the stone protects the cameras from the elements, and two, from the windows and gaping holes, the hidden cameras can be aimed at the stars of the show, the wetlands birds. But while setting up for Winter Watch, no one expected to see Medalina marianae, a tiny, half-inch reclusive spider whose entire life's goal is to be tucked away in some deep cave, hanging on its web, alone and watching Netflix. This is entirely relatable, and as such, I think we should learn a little bit more about our itty-bitty introvert, Medalina. What do you say? Fantastic. If you head on over to today's post over on the old socials and swipe past the gaudy nature of Castle Espy, it's gorgeous, it's too much, you'll land on a photo of this spider, found widespread in Britain. It's amber in color, with black dots running down its legs, and like I said, it prefers caves, but honestly, any dry, dark corner in your home will do just as well. Now, this may sound horrific for some of you, but don't worry, they want absolutely nothing to do with you. You'll never see them, and they prefer it that way. As for the crew, to spot Medalina right there on the roof of this dank gunpowder room, all exposed, it was odd. Even more alarming was its body. My nervous business goose, if you'd like to be just as alarmed, feel free to swipe past the photo of your average Medalina to see what this crew saw. I'll give you a sec. Yeah, that's not normal. It looks like a snowball with 8 amber legs sticking out of it. Now, if this weird but familiar-looking sight looks or reminds you of something else in nature, you're not alone. The seasoned TV crew was like, oh shit, that looks like fungus. Specifically, Ophiocordyceps unilateralis, a species that infects ants in the Amazon rainforest. It targets the regions of the ant's brain that controls their limbs. And using devious puppetry, it forces an ant to climb whatever foliage can be found above an ant nest and uses that ant's body as a spore bomb. When it explodes, any unlucky fellow ants below will receive a powdery shower, and the process cycles over and over. The crew couldn't help but ask, is this what's happening here? But to a fucking spider in Northern Ireland? They documented their experience and called in the fungi experts, Dr. Harry Evans, Emeritus Fellow at CAB International, and scientists from both the Natural History Museum of Denmark and the Royal Botanical Gardens, Kew. And because this is a cave spider we're dealing with, Hot for Holes spelunker Tim Fogg, a caving specialist, joined the study as well. A study called, dear God, the Araneopathogenic genus Gibellula in the British Isles, nailed it, including a new zombie species on orb-weaving cave spiders. And that long-ass name suggests that, yes, my friends, there is a new fungi in town, and it's fucked up. Dr. Harry and the gang returned to the crew's same gunpowder storage room to pluck that specimen from the ceiling, and what did they find? Drumroll, please. Thank you in the back. Why, yes, this was certainly indeed Medulina marianae, and the fungal spores that had bursted from its abdomen was an entirely new species. It is my honor to introduce Gibellula attenboroughi, named after, yeah, you guessed it, everyone's favorite grandpa, Sir David Attenborough. Quote, a pioneer of BBC natural history programs who, in his role as controller of BBC Two, helped to develop the natural history unit leading indirectly to the present nature series during which the new species was first discovered. End quote, from the team's press release. I am absolutely sure David will be thrilled to hear this, especially after learning how it is believed this fungus uses its host. In an interview with Live Science, Dr. Harry explained, quote, G. attenboroughi spores penetrate the spider and infect its hemocoel, a cavity that holds the invertebrate equivalent of blood. After the spider leaves its lair, G. attenboroughi produces a toxin to kill its host, and then uses antibiotics, antimicrobial substances that kill bacteria, to preserve the corpse whilst mummifying it. The fungus absorbs all the spider's nutrients, and when conditions are right, like high humidity in the cave, G. attenboroughi grows long structures on the spider's body to disperse its spores. End quote. Wow. What a miracle. And I have a photo of it, of course, and I have to say, this photo is worse than the other one. My friends, you can't even see the spider. It is completely covered, top to bottom, in this white, chalky, fuzzy plume. Put a pin in this. So, Dr. Harry said quite a bit to Live Science in the interview, so let's just break it down bit by bit. Yes, the spider left its Netflix show rolling and was compelled to leave its secluded web under the influence of this fungus. It was driven to an exposed area of the ceiling where these plumes just exploded, all in hopes of infecting other spiders. Which, thanks to Hot for Hole's cave explorer Tom, the researchers actually found. Yeah, they found multiple spiders in various states of infection, not only in caves in Northern Ireland, but in the Republic as well. And it gets better. Medulina marianae wasn't even its only victim. Meta menardi, I think I nailed that, a black widow-esque looking spider, which is also a cave spider, was also targeted. So far, this fungus has only been found in Ireland, but researchers suspect that G. attenboroughi might be infecting cave spiders in Wales based on photographic evidence of what appears to be the same looking fungus. So, it's around. But is it coming for us? First ants, now spiders. Naturally, we're next in the chain, right? No. Unfortunately, no, we are not next. This relationship between host and parasite evolved over millennia. It is very specific, and they're just not into us. But that doesn't mean medical science isn't interested in getting us together. Remember when Dr. Harry mentioned that everyone's favorite grandpa produces a toxin to kill its host, then antibiotics to preserve the corpse? If we can sequence what this new species is throwing down, we might be able to develop medicines that can attack drug-resistant bacteria, for example, or drugs that protect cells from the effects of aging. Who wouldn't want to stick this in their face? After the break, we are leaving the wetlands for the sea, and Northern Ireland for the Canadian coast. If you thought a zombie-inducing fungus was, something to look at, just wait. Just wait until you take a peek at sea vomit. Oh, my friends. We live in a magical world. Stay tuned.
Hear that? It's SpringFest savings calling your name, only at Lowe's. Right now, get a free Select Ego 56-volt battery when you buy a Select Ego trimmer, blower, or mower. Plus, get your choice of any 2 bags of Miracle-Gro organic soil mix for only $16. Shop these can't-miss deals in-store or online today. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 4/2. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Excludes Hawaii.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
And we're back. We are so back. And my friends, I have great news. You don't have to change out of your muck boots, and you sure as hell don't need to put away those binoculars, because we're heading on over to the Bay of Fundy, where each day, twice a day, 160 billion tons of seawater flow in and out from its shores. But before we get into the wacky Canadian fun that's to be had here because of this aquatic wonder, for my fellow geographically challenged Americans who may be curious where this is exactly, don't worry, I've got you. Everyone, please imagine Maine. Yes, it's the big-ass state at the very top of the east coast of the United States. It's also where I live now, and I'm waving. Hi. If you point to the middle-ish of the coastline, you'll find Acadia National Park, a 47,000-acre reserve whose every inch is absolutely stunning. I've been there. Put it back, it's too much. Now, if you move that there finger down, it'll be swimming in the aptly named Gulf of Maine. But if you scooch up, heading north, you'll quickly find yourself poking the Bay of Fundy. And it's sandwiched between the Canadian provinces of New Brunswick to the left and Nova Scotia to the right. And according to novascotia.com, this place has a lot going on. First, the tidal changes at the bay are fucking insane. On a given day, the difference between low and high tide can be as extreme as 53 feet. That's 16 meters, or 53 feet. That's a lot. And because of this, Burntcoat Head Park, along the far east of the bay, has the Guinness Book of World Records title for the highest tides in the world. So, if you're going to be having a pleasant stroll here, be sure to check the tide charts, otherwise it's not going to be so pleasant very quickly. This leads us to fun fact number 2. At low tide, the waters reveal otherworldly eroded rock formations that very much compete with the whimsical as fuck fairy chimneys we talked about back in March. During episode 227, man knocks down wall and basement and finds ancient underground city, and the wild story behind IKEA's product names. To see these formations, my equally majestic business goose, just drop your Ektorp and pick up your phone. Head on over to our socials and tap on today's post. I've got some screenshots of the bay, including what's called flower pot formations, and I'll give you a sec to bring that up. Okay, I've got them here as well, and I gotta say, I don't think they look like flower pots. They're more like the heads over at Easter Island. And there's thousands of them just everywhere. It's just very dramatic and needlessly over the top. As per usual, well done. So, if you find yourself ogling these heads in person one day during low tide, of course, you'd be able to enjoy fun fact number 3. Quote, its shoreline cliffs and beaches are home to the world's most complete fossil record of life 300 million years ago, making it part of a UNESCO World Heritage Site and a UNESCO Global Geopark. It may be hard to believe, but in prehistoric times, lush forests covered the area. End quote. From novascotia.com. So, yeah, you could, go fossil hunting here and snag yourself something 300 million goddamn years old. But I get it. If strolls and fossil hunting and rock stroking aren't your cup of tea, and you need something a bit more, life-threatening to entertain you, you're in luck. You can ride the tidal boar. Yeah, now that's not a euphemism or the animal boar. This is B-O-R-E. Now what the fuck is that? I've got you. Quote, when the Bay of Fundy's incoming tide meets the Shubenacadie River, an abrupt change in the river's current turns the calm water into a washing machine of waves. The rolling waves led by the lead wave, the tidal boar, can range from 8 to 20 feet high and creates the perfect roller coaster ride on water. Board a Zodiac raft, hold on tight, and prepare for the thrill of a lifetime as your expert guide skillfully maneuvers through the waves, end quote from novascotia.com. And I can't imagine how many tourists just ate shit. I hope with every fiber in my being that the gift shop has a mug that says, "I ate shit" at the title bore. Yeah, I just might make that for myself. Well, my drenched and nauseous business goose, if you choose this activity, you won't be the only seafaring vessel on the bay. Fishing vessels are very much a common sight. Other than its tides, the bay is known for its lobster, shrimp, mussels, and scallops. And unfortunately, since 2013, it's become the new home to sea vomit. And what in the holy hell is that? I am so glad you asked. If you swipe past the Easter Island looking heads at our social media stuffs, you'll get a nice close-up of it. Now, this is just one example of an invasive species called Diademnum vexillium. And just like its many colors and textures, this pain in the ass has many names. It also goes by carpet sea squirt or pancake batter tunicate. It can be smooth and firm, like gelatin, yet have a leathery texture. It can be orange, pink, yellow, tan, or cream. God, and good news. It's not just one creature. A pile of vomit is actually made up of thousands of small zooids, or a colony animal, arising from another by budding or division. And these clones are interconnected into a gelatinous sheet that can settle on the seabed, or even structures like wharfs, decks, or the belly of a ship. And that is how this native species to Japan may have hitched a ride here to North America. According to the extremely Norwegian Institute of Marine Research called Havforskningsinstituttet, sea vomit creates dripping colonies in which small pieces of the colony fall and make new colonies nearby, where they can be taken by the current and settle in new places, end quote. This seemingly lazy-ass way of life is actually really efficient, and it's dangerous to other species who call the seafloor home. In an interview with CBC News, Claire Goodwin, a research scientist at the Huntsman Marine Science Center in St. Andrews, explained how, quote, "This past year, in 2023, we found very, very large patches near Deer Island, sort of living room-sized patches really spreading over the seabeds. When the species comes to rest on the seafloor, it can suffocate native species. It could stop, say, commercial species like scallops from settling on the seabed and being able to grow. It's a good idea to have a look at your hulls, the hulls of your boat, because it can grow on there too." End quote. It was here, in this interview, Claire sent out a general plea. For anyone who may encounter the sea vomit, please just do the Huntsman Marine Science Center a solid. Get up all in there and save a sample for identification. You can then contact the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, or you can contact the center directly, and we'll come pick it up, take some notes like when and where you found it. Well, my budding friends, a general call to action may not get the immediate response you're looking for. And when you're facing something that could devastate native filter feeders and the local economy by growing 11-fold in 2 weeks, 11-fold in 2 weeks, time is of the essence. This was when, in 2024, Emily Blacklock, the science director for the Huntsman Association, had a Canadian eureka moment. A polite form. Yeah, that's all it's going to take, really. Let's get into it. My friends, Emily is not only the center's science director, she's a graduate student, and when she's not doing all this busy shit, she's also a part-time scallop and lobster fisher, which means she has access to the center's Xerox printer and has connections out on the Bay of Fundy. It was time to bring these two things together. If you swipe past the sea vomit over at our socials there, you'll see a picture of Emily absolutely beaming and holding up what's gonna take down these fucking sea squirts, because no one wants the squirts. Quote, "Emily Blacklock will be among 50 scallop fishers looking for sea vomit in their scallop catches, scraping off any they find and storing it in ethanol-filled vials. They could be scraping it off rocks, off scallops, putting it right in the jar and bringing it back to the shore and then telling us where they found it, how much of it they found in the area, all information on the tide and the depth and the weather, all of this to help us figure out where it was and why it was there. BlackRock told CBC News while holding up a package including the information form, a sea vomit identification card, and 4 ethanol-filled vials that's provided to the participating fishers. By the way, that identification card has way more examples of sea vomit on it, and they are just a parade of unfortunate horrors. Oh my God. Just one after the other. Take a look, if you want. Now, with this A-team of nerdy fishermen, their goal is to determine the rate of the spread and the impact on the Bay of Fundy, and to come up with solutions to contain it. And they're starting with some kick-ass forensics. The team will take these pukey samples, run some DNA tests to look at the population's genetics, and work out where exactly it's coming in from. The team can then target specific species and even be on the lookout for certain ships. I absolutely want to see this show. This needs to be on Apple or Netflix or the BBC. You know what? BBC. Please. Contact, what was her name? Emily? Oh my God. It's going to be incredible. And honestly, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to be on the anti-sea vomit team's shit list. That's, seems intense. Godspeed, Huntsman Marine Science Center. I wish you the best. And thank you for listening, rating, subscribing, telling your friends about all the vomit in the sea. And then say, oh, I'm sorry about that. Let's talk about spiders instead. That's the show. And a slimy thanks to the folks over at Airwave Media, the podcast network to which WTI belongs. If you love this show, and you do, you love the other podcasts in this family. And please, stay interesting.